Hey, all you little dwellers out there. Welcome back to the basement. Tonight is a special kind of like little segment. You can see we've got Ben with us once more. He's not just behind the scenes staring at us.
Not today.
Giggling, laughing at us.
Telling us what to do.
We are going to be talking about his little trip down to New York Comic Con. So
right.
That said...
I'm Ben, and I'm not your host.
I'm Hui, your not so average DM.
And I'm Skip. And it's Halloween tonight, and if you couldn't tell, I'm dressed just like Hui.
Son of a
Get
bitch!
into it! Hey, welcome back. If you couldn't tell, I'm still dressed like Hui.
Mostly.
You know. Anyways,
you're missing the good looks.
Moving on. So, Ben, a couple weeks ago, had spent a few days down in New York City at New York Comic Con.
New York Comic Con 2023.
2023.
There were 23 of them.
2023 of these conventions.
2023.
Yes. I personally have gone 5 years in a row. They were earlier. Five years in a row.
Consecutively in a row?
Incessantly.
Incessantly, consecutively, in a row.
In a row. Back to back.
Yep.
Yep.
In case you didn't know. So you went to one year.
Yeah.
And then the following year, you went to another one.
Yeah.
And then you did that
a few more times.
3 more times.
Yes. So
for a total of
math,
5.
People, math.
Yeah, from 2012 to 2017, I think, is what it was.
Sure.
So I enjoy those things.
Yeah.
Ben, tell us about your experience.
Tell us about my experience.
What were you doing down there?
Let's preface this with, this is not my thing. This is not a thing that I'm generally into.
I never would have guessed because one of your reels for our Instagram account was you going, hey, something's going on. It's not my thing, but here you go.
Not my thing, but...
And that made it kind of a little difficult because I'm like, I don't know what to shoot or show. Like what...
Right.
Because, But, I just saw some stuff going on. And so anyways, let's start at the beginning.
End of story. He saw some stuff going on.
Yes, I saw...
That's it.
There we go.
Next one.
Cut.
Here we are. All right. So, so I went with Cooper's Cave Games, and we had a booth kind of in the back. It was 4 days at the Javits Center.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I looked it up. It has a maximum occupancy of just shy of 40,000 people. So at any given time, and I would say like it's huge. If you've never been to like a big convention, like I'd only ever been to Saratoga Comic Con, which is, a convention. So there's a lot of people there, but like this like you could put that convention in the pocket of the Javits Center and they could just like walk around and just like it's change.
Like the episode of Adventure Time where they're like, oh, what's that pocket for? Oh, Jake's in there. Oh. Hey, Jake, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I've only ever been to PAX. You've been to PAX as well.
Yeah.
What would be the size of New York Comic Con versus PAX East in Boston?
Well, so to give you a better idea, I would say take PAX East, at least in the place they had it when we went, and multiply it by 3, at least. Because there's multiple levels.
Yep.
And then there's a bunch of like different rooms,
little offshoots and areas. I mean, there was something similar like that at PAX where they had like all their kind of what's the term, symposiums or panels.
Oh, the panels.
The panels happening in other kind of offshoot conference rooms, but like the main PAX was in one main huge kind of conference area. Yeah,
so there's the 2 main floors at the Javits Center, and last time I was there, they were putting on an edition which has subsequently been finished. But all along, so the front basement, or like basement is all the panel rooms and like conference rooms.
Gotcha. Anyway.
All right. So, I didn't really grasp the scale of this thing until I had successive different kind of events, personal events that kind of really, gave me an idea. So first, when we were there setting up on Wednesday. So Wednesday we went in, and that's where most people were setting up. At one point, they were like, "Hey, Ben, go grab us some Starbucks." So they're like, "It's just over in that direction." And like, I'm looking over, and they're like, I can see kind of a corner of where I'm in. So like, I head in that direction, and I'm kind of like just passing by, just seeing what's there, just who's there. And then I get kind of that corner, and I see, oh, there's a whole doorway right there, and there's a whole nother room that's the same size as this one. And I had to walk all the way across that. Like, no joke, I would say that roughly, if you could walk from end to end, just a solid clip, it'd probably take 7 solid minutes to walk all the way across. And so, it was like way in the corner and all the way over here. At one point, so we're in kind of like the back, but there was no absence of people in there. Like the back, like alleyway, was way too small. They could have pushed that out into like the main area, which like was crowded, but you could kind of move around. You didn't get stuck behind people who are like, they're just kind of sauntering along here and like, oh, I'm where I need to be. But you were in line walking and now you suddenly stop. So everybody behind you suddenly stops too. It's great.
Domino effect.
Oh my God. I loved it. It was my favorite thing. And then you're like, oh, I can just step around. But no, because there's other people coming towards you because they had to do the same thing as you. And it's like, it's very, very crowded.
Very nut to butt it.
Yeah. So where I was, when I just stood at one point, because I was kind of outside of the booth area, like we had our booth set up and we had like a little cove, and my job was to kind of like stand there, and I just kind of kept, my whole thing was just moving out of people's way because I was just constantly kind of standing there. On the second day, I kind of carved out a little spot that was mostly out of the way. Like you could, like I wasn't standing in front of stuff, but at some points there were just so many people in that area.
You didn't tape a blue box on the ground and say, "This is my area, Ben Square."
Well, I got a story for later about that little
Times
spot.
Square. Well, welcome to Ben Square.
Get out of my area.
At one point, I was just kind of looking around, and I roughly estimated that just where I was standing, and this wasn't even a crowded part, I could see at least 100 people. For sure, 100 people. If it was packed in, I would say probably 200 people. And we were nowhere. We were in the way back off in the boonies, pretty much. Not as far as the boonies as some of the people were, but and I think it's the area that you were talking about, the add-on part, because the bathrooms were different over there. See, where the most accessible bathroom that I had near me was like a regular bathroom that you'd see at like Walmart or the mall. And that is just not adequate for 40,000 people. I don't care that there's multiple of them. Like they should all be airport style bathrooms. So in this, what I'm assuming is the new area.
Just turnstile your you go in, you pee and walk and pee and walk, and then you leave.
It's just a trough that's in a circular shape, and you
that
have
would be
to
great
step to the side and pee at the same time.
That would be great if you could just do that. But yeah, so on this other part where a lot of the food stuff was, there were bigger bathrooms which were a lot better. For me, just trying to walk around utilitarian, like I'm just trying to execute, like I gotta go to the bathroom, I need to go find food, I just want to get back away from everything. It was kind of a nightmare. I mean, if you're not trying to get anywhere, you're just like fine with like going with the flow. Like it was more or less fine.
Talking about bathrooms,
I think it was like there was 200,000 people there, full attendance. So roughly there's 50,000 over the course of the whole 4 days. So that's roughly 50,000 people a day. Obviously, Fridays and Saturdays are going to have more people than Sunday and Thursday. So,
and at any given point too, you could have hundreds of people just outside.
Yeah. Because at one point, and this was what helped give me the scale, is one of the guys, one of the days he wasn't feeling that well. So the owner of this store asked me to kind of just go with him. And we went outside, and there was tons of people outside. And he called an Uber. The Uber canceled it on because like I don't know, the traffic was was nuts in that particular intersection. So we went back inside and we went to sit down, and there was like this big glass window area that was overlooking down into this just void of an area. There was nothing. There was just like a slab of concrete with walls around. It was huge. And I could see like a quarter of that. And like there were probably 1,000 people down there, maybe just a little shy of that. And I'm just like, holy crap, they barely even take up this space. They're like just over in the corner. It's like 1,000 people. And I'm like, this is just like a staging area for everything else. And I didn't even realize, like, I did realize that there was a downstairs, but it wasn't something that I was actively thinking about because I was talking to somebody at one point and they're like, oh, did you see the artist area? You probably could have gone down there, like during my break because there's less people. And I'm like, oh, that's where everybody was going. Like I just, it's so big. It's easy. Yeah. It's kind of like a buffet where there's just so much going on. Like you're like, oh yeah, I got my fill of food. And you're like, oh, did you see this? It's like, no, I didn't see that. I want to go eat that, but it's too late now.
Yeah. And it's weird because when you get into a convention, any of the conventions I've seen, it's a specific small area of the convention center, right? Like I'll go to a tattoo convention down in Philadelphia, and as big as that convention is, it's still only part of the whole Philadelphia Convention Center.
Right. There's a blue room, the red room, the green room, the orange room.
There's so many. I mean, there's like high school cheerleading championships going on across the street in the same building that has like
walkways,
second, third floor walkway. It's a lot of these places are massive, but this, like New York Comic Con takes up the entire fucking thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, from end to end, it's just nuts. And I mean, there were assholes and elbows everywhere, and like there were just as many assholes as there were elbows. So you do the math on that one.
Yeah.
And like, so
few people swam in the Hudson.
So, really?
That's small.
So, anyways, so I want to get the negatives out of the way, and these are not personal negatives. I want to avoid that. But I think the two things is that like some of the aisle space was a little bit too small, and I feel like they could have allocated more space to some of the like the artillery or ancillary, whatever, like that back area that I'm talking about. They could have put like a person or two more's worth of space back there. Arterial. There we go. That was the one that I was trying to say there.
Job, buddy. Hey,
so
you did it.
They could have put more room there. And one of the things that I thought was like kind of in the bathrooms, and one thing that I felt like was a little unacceptable, especially because you have a bunch of people trying to do business transactions. The internet there sucked. Like it just sucked hardcore. And I'm like, I feel like it's New York City and it's this big giant center that has like, I can't even imagine how much money went into the pockets of the people who do all this stuff. Could you take a little bit out and upgrade the internet thing there? Now, I was hotspotting off of their phones because I couldn't get service like how I normally use my phone where I just have data. I couldn't even get that. Like that was impossible. I wasn't getting anything off that. As a matter of fact, trying to just do the Instagram recordings, the reels, like they were trying to load forever. And I was like walking around trying to find a spot where like I could get some kind of service or whatever. At one point I decided I'm just going to take pictures and then I'll upload them later.
Yeah.
And I think that was the third day, and I meant to do it on the fourth, but by the fourth day I was just like, it's exhausting. And
hey, take a look at this slideshow of all the pictures, Ben.
Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm going to put graphics up. I'm going to put like some graphics up going on. But yeah, I just felt like that was unacceptable. There was like guest or vendor Wi-Fi available, which you had to get an email, and I didn't get that. So maybe they were running off of that, but even that wasn't. And everybody was complaining about it.
Right.
And it's like, I know that I personally saw 2 transactions where people came back. Like we had bad internet. They left. We put their stuff aside. They came back, which I was surprised. And it just so happens that there was bad internet on that. And it was like $50 at the very least. And that was just my small experience. I can't imagine how much money didn't go to a vendor because, at this point, there's no internet and the person just fucked off and said, "Well, I'm not coming back to this shit."
Yeah,
do they have ATMs in the facility?
Yeah,
I would imagine. So I didn't engage with that. So, but,
the ATM had no service either.
Well, the problem I see with some of those at conventions is like they break down.
Yeah. How much money can you put in an ATM when you have?
Oh, it'll be drained like within the first few hours, if even that long. It's like, oh, there's no more money.
Hey, and I don't think they just go, "Hey, Brinks, bring over a couple of bricks of monies."
Yeah. Right now, during this convention, it'll be easy to get in.
Yeah, parking's a breeze. Yeah. Getting through the door, don't worry.
I mean, what are you talking about? They have a Brinks door specifically. The Brinks door just goes right up to it. I mean, every building, major convention center has one.
All right. So I have one more negative criticism, but that will be part of the positives of the experience. There's lots of awesome food. So that was great. A lot of different things to try. Like there is lots and lots of different vendors. I had no interest in any of it, but like there's tons and tons of vendors. Nickelodeon was there, South Park, Dragon Ball Z. Like there was a lot of, and you probably see in the pictures. I tried to get pictures of all the cool stuff that was there. There was a lot of amazing costumes. For sure. There was some that were, no effort. There was a lot of Spider-Gwens, which it was a no effort costume. Put on my spandex, I'm sexy.
Think about, when Suicide Squad came out and how many Harleys there were.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But at least, see, Spider-Gwen is literally just putting on the thing. Now, I have no problem with that. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. But as far as a costume, it's like
mostly
didn't even try.
Yeah.
At least I feel like with Harley Quinn, you'd have to do a little bit of extra. Like you couldn't just put on a bodysuit. You'd have to do something extra. You got to do a little bit of extra work on that one.
Yeah. Wig. Whatever.
But to each their own. I mean, that's a time where you can just kind of go and do that. But it was like, hey, here's your Halloween costume. But there were some like really elaborate costumes. Now, some of them were elaborate and awesome. Some of them were elaborate and irritating. Just god awfully big and immovable, and like they looked cool, but it's like you're trying to take 3 people's worth of space down this aisle that's 5 people wide, and let's stop in the middle and take pictures, which I get. Yeah. I totally get that. But it's like, all right, let me just stop everybody's motion and let's take pictures. Oh, you want a picture too? Hey, everybody get the picture.
Yeah. And God forbid they stop in a weird spot right next to you, and you gotta like Tetris yourself to fit into the space that happens to be next to them.
Yeah. Or coming up behind and you're like, I don't want to be in your picture. I don't want to be in people's pictures. Like I'm not part of this whole costume.
I'm sorry, did you say something? Whack!
Yeah. So yeah, there were very few really obnoxious costumes. And I gotta say, there was one woman who was walking around. She was wearing some princess costume. I don't think it was Belle because it wasn't yellow and I would have remembered that, but it was poofy. And for some reason I felt more forgiving. It took up the same like 3 people wide space. I felt a little more forgiving because it was like, I guess I assumed that it would probably poof in.
It was rigid versus soft.
Yeah, and I might be wrong.
Bird cage underneath.
Yeah, who knows?
You go to move it to the side and you go, ow, my knuckles. You just smack a bird.
It's all made out of
for
paper
some reason
mache.
It felt less obnoxious than the other ones. That might have just been like, because I appreciate the costume. A lot of the other ones, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yeah.
You're just, one of them, I swear to God, it was just like a doghouse or something. Like, I bet if people saw it, they would be able to tell me what it was, because I'm sure nobody just came in something random. It was always something from something.
It was definitely Clifford the Big Red Dog.
And one of them was, I could only imagine it was like a Yu-Gi-Oh costume or something. Like,
oh, yeah.
But I don't.
A Yu-Gi-Oh card of some sort.
Yu-Gi-Oh is like non-coherent to me. I look at the cards and I'm like, this doesn't even look like the card that goes with this. The artwork is just all over the place.
I don't know how much the cartoon, like anime, goes into, or like the rules in the show tie into the actual card game or anything like that, but I was flipping through the channels and Yu-Gi-Oh was on, and there was like, well, now I get to send 7 cards to my graveyard, and it seemed like there were 146 different things that someone could do in their turn. And I was like,
I'm convinced there are no rules in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just, you just make it up as you go. I just do this stuff and do that stuff.
I played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh!
There are, there are chains.
You want to pick a Nick Basket?
Yeah. There are chains of cards that can activate. There are chains of cards that can activate together that can cause situations where you pull 7 cards or you move 7 cards into your graveyard to pull 3 from your deck, and then also summon 2 to the field.
I don't know. I just feel like
it gets a little ridiculous.
With Magic and Pokemon, yes, you can, I don't know about Pokemon, but with Magic, you can win on turn 1, but you have to do stuff that makes sense. You're like, oh, okay, I can kind of follow what's happening here because you do it. And then in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just like, I win.
But is that because you played Magic and you're used to Magic and you never played Yu-Gi-Oh! Or is it just your opinion of it?
All of it.
This became a convention episode into a Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. I think we digest too much.
All right.
Back in.
So, anyways,
but I digest.
Away from that garbage game. Comments, let me know. All right. So
those 10-year-olds don't watch this.
I don't know. There's too many card games. There's so many across the board. But anyways, let's move away from this. All right. So, over the 4 days, I kind of got an idea of what people were looking for. So we as a game shop we have a wide variety of stuff. There was Funko Pop vendors. They had walls of Funko Pop. We have a shelf.
Yeah.
I think we're the only ones that brought video games, or maybe one of the few, because we sold a lot of video games. Like Xbox, PS4, that kind of stuff. So that was great. One of the things that I thought was interesting is we sold a lot of cards, Magic and Pokemon. Pokemon's big because, as I've learned more about Pokemon, there are people who just collect. I'm sure that there are Magic collectors, but most people who engage with Magic cards are players. There are fewer collectors versus Pokemon is just most of the people I've talked to just collect the cards. They don't play the game.
No.
So you got a lot of people who are just buying cards because, it's just part of my collection. I just like how it looks. And I get it. Now that I've opened up and looked at Pokemon cards, the cool ones, yeah, I get it. I don't have the time and the money to engage with all that.
Some people just have the thrill of actively buying a pack that maybe costs $6 and seeing they like the act of seeing what cards they get. Can I pull that big card? Can I pull that big card? I spent $7 and I made $3.
Even though it's not technically, it's gambling. When you buy a single pack, that's why whenever I bought Magic cards, I buy boxes because it evens out. You get some scrappy ones, you get some really good ones, you get your value out of what you paid for. But if you just get one pack, that's a gamble. You are gambling with your money. I've done that sometimes. I got lucky. The first time I did it recently, I got 2 packs and they were awesome. And then I bought a third one and that was garbage. And I'm like, okay, this is what you get. You got 2 awesome packs. You should have cut it off there.
I mean, I did the same thing with Jurassic Park cards when I was a kid. I was chasing that Velociraptor holographic card.
Hey, if you like Jurassic Park, you should buy some Ixalan, which is the new Magic set that's coming out. It's got Jurassic World in there. You should get that. Buy that from my store. Yes.
What store is that?
That's Cooper's Cave Games right here.
Oh,
yeah, this is not an advertisement for them, by the way. All right. So, anyways,
I'm not going to do that.
All right. So, anyways, not a lot of high end stuff. Not a lot of big spenders. Now, maybe it's just because by the time they got to us, they'd already blown their wad out there. But
I think it's weird.
No high end cards went. I tried to haggle with people. No one wanted to haggle.
One extreme to the other.
Yeah.
A lot of people either go there not expecting to see or not expecting to have so much vendor crap there that they don't bring enough money. And I get it. But then there's also the people who bring a ton of money, but they'll be the
whales. They want the thing. I brought $1,000 because I want this, that, and the other thing.
This guy only comes here to New York City Comic Con. I'm buying it and I'm going home. I have work tonight. That kind of thing. I
was disappointed that people weren't haggling. I would see somebody looking at something and I see them starting to walk away. And I had my limits on what I could go down as far as 50% on a lot of things. There were select items, but not, and so, there was this Zangief there, $115. Yep. So everybody that looked at it, I said, you do it for $100? And I was hoping that they'd be like, what about 80 or something, just something like that. But nothing. Then they just walked away. And I'm like, it could have been in your hands for $60 if you were willing to haggle with me, because that's the limit on that I could have gone down to, but you didn't even want to bother.
It's the wrong demographic for hagglers. If this was a convention of fucking
collectors,
no, I don't even mean collectors, but like car restoring aficionados, right? A bunch of motorcyclists who are buying shit for their bikes. Man, they'd be haggling you down to nothing. But I think this group, I don't want to
you don't want to generalize.
I don't want to generalize. Well, exactly. But I think it's just a different demographic of people who aren't used to haggling. They're like, "That's the price. I'll pay that." Well, I don't have the money for it. I'm not going to pay.
The thing that I heard, not from everybody, but the sentiment that I heard walking away, some people was like, "I'd get this cheaper online." It's like, yeah, because this is a brick and mortar who had to pay for a booth, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive because Amazon ships it out direct from the fucking people.
But the thing about that is half the time they're extremely good knockoffs. Extremely well-made knockoffs. I've seen so many shows, videos, and things and articles done on things that people have bought and that are almost professionals in whatever field of collector that they're purchasing. And then they come to find out later on that it is a deep fake, essentially. Yeah. And it's what you're going to risk if you're going to buy stuff online like that.
Hey, come to us. We're honest. We're definitely not going to sell you a fake. But I did get yelled at.
Oh, yeah.
I got yelled at. So this has to do with my little box, my little square, the little place that I got to stand, right? So the first day, we had a dollar bin.
Let's hear about Ben's little box.
So
the blue box. Ben's little blue box.
So we had a dollar bin, and there was one... I don't necessarily understand how some people can spend as much time. Well, you're at New York City Comic Con. I'm going to spend 3 hours at the dollar bin. This is no joke. So this day, the first day, there was somebody who spent at least an hour. But there was a bunch of stuff that people kind of want to look at, and they're just kind of waiting. They're hoping that they're going to get out of the way. This person just camped there for like an hour, hour and a half, and just did that. And we're like, how many sales did we lose? Or at least potential, because this person was there. So we moved them towards the end where we had a bunch of Funko Pops, and we faced them out so that people would stand out. So I could stand on the side in front of them, and most of that, so you could kind of see the stuff, the Funko Pops above my head, and then there was by my feet. So like if somebody was looking at them, I would kind of shuffle out of the way. Otherwise, that was where I was standing, right? So there's these people, a bunch of people in the dollar bin, right? So I'm just kind of doing my thing. I'm engaging with some of the people, but a lot of people actually want to talk. So some people are just like, no, I don't want, no. And so I just go and I stand in my spot. All right. Now I don't know what they were thinking. Like maybe they thought I was like looking over my shoulder to steal. I was like, okay, Greg, if you're watching this, I'm not going to let people steal stuff from you, but it's a fucking dollar bin. I don't give a shit about the dollar bin. If you want to run away with $5 worth of cards, nobody really cares. We're never going to know. We're never going to miss those things, right? So I don't know what they were thinking. Down. Like I'm just sitting there like over my eyes like, oh. So her husband, boyfriend, I'm not sure, goes to check out. I'm like, hey, are you all ready and set to go? So I do the thing. And then like halfway through the transaction, she comes over and like, I don't appreciate you standing over there next to us. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then she just kind of scampers off as Greg comes over to me and he's like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know I don't even know what she's talking about. I'm just standing, cause I'm like standing in my little spot. Like that's my safe spot. That's where I am.
This is my safe space.
So whatever you think I was doing, I was just standing in my safe spot trying to be out of the way of other people. I wasn't watching you at all. I knew you were there, but like as far as you could have walked off. I wouldn't have noticed.
Take that, lady.
Yeah, lady.
Subscribe to our channel.
She just wanted to be right. She didn't want to actually like understand what was going on. She just wanted to be mad and like indignant. Oh my god, I can't believe people.
This is an open invitation for you to yell at us in our comments section.
She was the main character of the story, and she was bothered, so she wanted to tell this NPC what the fuck was up.
Well, she became the main character.
Now she's the villain. Yeah, she's the villain.
Also the main character.
No, she's the villain.
Yeah, but
I'm the main character in my story, you fucking NPC.
Shit, we've been degraded to NPCs.
That's right.
Wow.
We're character players in his campaign. We will remember.
Well, I
this.
guess you're other PCs. Your other PCs, maybe. Well, and yeah.
You're just.
I assume that there's a brain running that body of yours.
You're just a
somewhere
pigment
there.
in my imagination.
A pigment?
What?
Yep. You heard me.
A pigment.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah.
what I said.
Anyway,
You got it.
So that's Ben's 32 minutes of negative.
No, I had some positive. I said the food was good.
The food was good.
I said the food was
The
good.
food was good.
And they had vendors there.
Good job,
So,
New York City.
There were people selling shit.
You got
food
good
was
food,
good.
man.
Look, I like New York City, so I had a lot of fun walking to and from the convention center. I like, even though we didn't stop anywhere, I'm like, I like New York City. And we walked past Horse Smell because they had the horses there.
Oh, the stables.
the carriages.
New York City.
It was
the
just kind of
horse
weird.
smell and masturbating bums on stoops.
Like, I expect bad smell. The first day I walked past and I looked and I go,
That's a different story.
That was definitely somebody who squatted up against that wall and shat right there. I could see that. Like, it was a clear stain there.
It's like
and there was a dead rat.
dog.
One day, just a dead rat just
love
lying
New
in
York
there.
City.
I love New York City.
It's
It's
just
great.
so
Things you
it's full of
see.
The sights
character.
and the smells and the sounds and all that kind of stuff.
Upstate New York is boring.
But it was just
Yeah.
We
really,
need more
really
dead
weird
rats
to
and
smell
shit.
horses.
Well, there's plenty of shit
in New York
there's
City.
plenty of shit.
But it makes
Most
sense because they
of
have
New York.
the horse-drawn carriages or whatever.
Well, that's Ben's vendor perspective. My perspective is if you're going there to hang out, it's fun.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
go to Artist Alley, man.
Yeah, I should. So I want to end on a good note here.
Okay.
Okay.
The food.
No, not the food. If you are into conventions, definitely go. I mean, it's going to be. I don't think the tickets are super costly. Like, it's obviously it's going to cost you something.
$45, $50
Yeah, that's
for a
that's
day
what I
pass
would
or
expect
something
it to
like
cost.
that. Yeah.
But just finding a place. We were in Secaucus, so we bussed in.
Yep.
The bus ride wasn't that bad. I don't know what the hotel was. I was just there as an employee. But if you can go to New York City Comic Con at least once, if you're into cons, you definitely want to go. It is a sight to behold if you've never been there, for sure. Coming from a person who doesn't like these things, realize that I definitely encourage you to go, because I would even consider if I ended up seeing somebody who really, really, really wanted to go and the money was there. Yeah, I would definitely go back as an attendee.
Yeah.
Once.
I'm not a crowd person
For one
by
day.
any means. I avoid Great Escapes, carnivals, all that stuff like a bad habit. Excuse you. But when I went to PAX East, I thoroughly enjoyed myself because I was surrounded by people that I knew were just as weird, just as awkward, just as much into the things that I was there for the same reason. And I was like, I was not bothered by the crowd. That was the part, like the first time that I had been in a major crowd where I was like, I don't feel clustered. I don't feel claustrophobic. I don't feel like I can't hear things. Like, the only things I heard were things that I was interested in. And I was like, if anything, I was getting
pulled in 27 different directions.
50 directions at once. So like, conventions are a phenomenal experience. If at the same time.
Board with that, buddy.
Yeah.
Your turn.
Me?
Yeah.
Verb?
Mine was a
it's
little
just
weak.
not there yet. I
You
can't.
probably didn't even pick it up. All right. So any more questions you want to ask me about my experience?
Experience.
No, I'm good.
Drop
Okay.
the E. Experience.
Yeah.
Experience.
So,
that said, I think we'll cut it here. Just remember, follow us on the social medias.
Like us.
And subscribe.
And
Share it with other people.
And tell everybody how much you like us, please.
and maybe tell us about your convention experiences down in the comments.
Oh, yeah. Let's make
We'd
this
love to hear
interactive.
I don't care about that at all. Fuck that shit. No, I'm kidding. No, tell us for real.
That's
Yeah. Good, bad stories. Bad, good stories.
All
Good,
one
good
of you.
stories. Bad, bad stories.
I'm going to make a sock account and I'm going to comment of my experience. So we have
If
one.
anybody sees the 3-page long comment in our section about
It's
New
not
York
me.
City Comic Con,
I didn't do
totally not Ben.
It's not
And
me.
just commenting on how all the hot dogs he ate were delicious.
I didn't have a single
Yeah, the food was
hot dog.
great.
Bullshit.
No,
And
I
dead
didn't have
rats.
Hot dogs?
All right, we're going to yell at him about not eating any hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Have a good night.